Welcome to Rich Planet TV. I'm Richard D. Hall. I'd like to welcome back onto the show veteran UFO researcher David Caton. Welcome, David.
Thank you, Richard. I'm very pleased to be here.
Now then, last time you were on, we spoke about your unfortunate heart attacks, three in a row. How are you recovering from that at the moment?
Yeah, pretty well, thank you. Yes, it was March the 8th last year, and then in the first 45 minutes I had 3 cardiac arrests. So thanks to the North West Ambulance Service and Manchester Royal Infirmary, where I was on a trolley waiting to have a stent put in to unblock the blocked artery, they jumped me again, and I'm here to tell the tale and participate in what we're doing.
Right.
Now, and be with my family, of course.
Yes.
Yeah, that's right.
Now, it sort of obviously was a setback for some of the things you were looking into. You were looking into the mysterious seal mutilation incidents where these seals were turning up with bizarre spiral cuts on their body, and it is still unexplained, and we are going to cover that in another show. And also animal mutilation cases. Tell us about the UFO Truth Conference in Holmfirth, September 19th. September the 19th. 2015.
Suddenly I'm being presented with a
Let's have a look at it then, David.
An award for survival.
Which is a chunk of glass.
Yep, that's it.
Very good.
Which is very nicely done.
So read out what it says.
It says, UFO Truth magazine proudly presents David Caton, UK, with a UK award for services to British ufology. So that was I was really thrilled to bits to get this. I mean, it was a complete surprise.
Right. So, all right, we'll put it there.
Yeah.
All right. I hope it doesn't fall over. Right. All right. Great. So well done. Congratulations. So it was well deserved, I think.
Yes, it was a very nice, acknowledgement of my efforts for 20 odd years. So
right, and we'll come on to that because David and I have been looking into another horse mutilation case. Now, you may remember back in 2010, we made a film called Silent Killers in Sussex, which followed the tragic mutilation of a horse called Rascal in East Sussex. Was it, David?
Yes.
Since then, there's been probably at least half a dozen, if not more, maybe double figures, horse mutilation cases like that one in the UK. Do you want to name some of the areas, David?
Yeah, well, 2012 there seemed to be a spate of them a bit. So we're working from south to north. There was one in Cornwall, across the Bristol Channel in Carmarthenshire, and West Wales, Pembrokeshire area, and then up in Scotland. I think that's it. I think
right, but
yes,
but we seem to have had a spate of attacks in the latter part of 2015. Now there are 5 cases that we know of. There may be more. 2 in Scotland, 1 in August, 1 in October, we believe, but there were 3 in Leicestershire.
Yes.
The first taking place, I think, on the 7th of September, 2015, in Leicestershire, and then another one followed about a fortnight after that, and when we think there might be a third one, but we haven't got that corroborated, have we?
Not yet. No.
We think the third one may be either before the first one. We're not sure, right? But there's definitely 2.
And they were just 2 miles apart.
2 miles apart. One on the 7th of September, one a couple of weeks later, and we actually went to the second one. So we filmed there. David took some high definition images of the second case, which didn't have as many of the classic injuries, but some of them on the second horse. So let's talk about the first horse, David, Honey, from a place called Syston in Leicestershire. Now, I found out about this case because somebody emailed me a story from the Leicester Mercury, I think it's called.
Leicester Mercury,
I then went on Facebook to try and track down the owner of the horse, which I managed to do, and then somebody passed the phone number on, so I telephoned the owner, and then I had several lengthy discussions with the horse owner. This is Claire Watts. We're going to discuss some very intriguing elements of this case, David, because it sort of had some twists and turns in it.
Yes.
So yeah, it's some of the classic injuries, and I've made a short documentary which features the horse owner Claire, because she very kindly allowed us into the field 2 weeks after her horse was mutilated. We went down to film the second mutilated horse, and we interviewed Claire in the field where her horse turned up.
Yeah.
So I'm just going to screen a short documentary that I've made following our investigation into this case. The story starts with media reports published on Tuesday the 8th of September of a barbaric blade attack on a horse in Leicester, Leicestershire. The reports claimed the incident is believed to have happened sometime between 6:15 p.m. on Sunday the 6th and 10:30 a.m. on Monday the 7th of September. The mainstream articles did not give particularly detailed descriptions of the injuries, stating it was done with a very sharp implement of some sort. The horse's right ear and some of the right side of her face was cut off. After studying the articles, it looked like a classic animal mutilation case, exhibiting some of the typical characteristics we have seen many times. I put some feelers out on social media to try and make contact with the horse owner, which I was able to do. I managed to make telephone contact with the owner on Wednesday the 9th of September, just 2 days after the attack. Since this date, I have been in regular contact with her by email and by phone, and have received a lot of information as events have transpired. There are two broad aspects to the story I want to cover. Firstly, the physical and circumstantial evidence, which point to something very unusual and closely match previous unexplained animal mutilation cases. Secondly, what seems to be blatant attempts by authorities to cover up detailed information about the injuries from the horse owner. The owner is someone with 20 years' experience in handling horses, who has between 60 and 70 horses at any one time.
I'm a McTimoney-Cawley spinal therapist, so I'm an associate member of the McTimoney-Cawley Association. So I'm a spinal therapist for both animals, including horses and dogs, such like, as well as humans. So I work alongside or for a lot of vets within the area to obviously, help with recovery process and things with horses and dogs that have, back injuries or just for maintenance work really. But I've owned horses all my life. I've done everything from sort of teaching, competing, riding, we sort of supply horses for the riding for disabled. We supply horses for film work. We have horses at the minute in Poldark and Jamaica Inn,
Right.
BBC dramas. So obviously I've got quite extensive knowledge with regard to equines particularly.
Right, including sick and injured horses.
Absolutely, yeah. I think, at any one time I could be around nearly 100 horses. So obviously in that sort of capacity, you're going to come across a lot of sick and injured horses, and that's why I find this so difficult to understand, because it's something I've never seen before.
It's important to describe the sequence of events in date order to illustrate just how information was handled by the various authorities. Up to today, the 17th of November 2015, the horse owner still has not been given a copy of the post-mortem report, which we know was produced on the 8th of September and given to the RSPCA the same day. In the early hours of Monday the 7th of September, the horse mutilation occurred in a fairly secluded field in Leicester, Leicestershire. There were 3 other horses in the field which were untouched, but clearly perturbed when the owner discovered the dead horse that morning. The horse was found just after 9:30 in the morning. At this time, Claire could move all the legs, so rigor mortis hadn't fully set in. She concluded it's got to have happened in the early hours of the morning because everything was still pliable. The first thing she did was ring the RSPCA, because she does a lot of work with the guy that covers that area, just in case anything else had been reported that morning. She then rang a very good friend who was a veterinary surgeon and sent her pictures which she took on her phone. The veterinary surgeon said it's her professional opinion that it had been done with a very sharp implement. She also said that she could not get her head around it, because she has looked and looked at the pictures, and the thing that is driving her mad is the lack of blood. She said the only explanation she could think of was if there was a strangulation of the gut, i.e. a bad colic. But if this was the case, Claire couldn't understand how there was still no blood when the horse was eventually moved. The injuries or procedures on the horse included a jaw strip, an extremely clean 5 to 6 inch diameter incision resulting in the removal of the ear, excision of the horse's chestnuts, which are small lumps on horses' legs. Hair had been cut and moved in tiny segments. The anus and vulva were badly swollen. There were small lacerations on the stomach, and the teats underneath where the milk bag would be almost looked like they'd been cut off. There were very tiny lacerations under the tail. The hair on the right side of the animal on which it was laying the wrong way and ruffled, indicating the horse had been dragged. However, there were no drag marks on the ground anywhere near the horse, only drag marks some distance away in the middle of the field. There was no blood anywhere around the horse and nowhere in the field, which was searched vigorously by about 10 people. When the horse was eventually taken into the lorry, it was dragged 10 to 15 feet, but there was still no sign of any blood. Note, as in most mutilation cases, the items that were excised could not be found anywhere at the scene.